This is massive news. We did not see this coming at all. This is a case that she tentatively postponed to a later date. The original trial was set for the end of May. She moved it back a couple of months, though not setting a date. She has just dismissed it in a 93-page court document saying that Jack Smith, the special counsel's appointment, violates the appropriations clause and the appointments clause of the United States Constitution. In layman's terms, she's saying that he was not appointed lawfully and not appointed appropriately.
It is entirely reasonable to conclude that this is not a constitutionally permissible delegation of power to an office that can turn our country upside down, which is what has happened.
Thank you, Laura, for jumping on the phone. Laura Ingraham, we'll see you a bit later this evening here for day one and night one of the convention.
Yeah,
you bet. Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, I know you gentlemen are still out there, so come on back in the conversation. David Spunt points out this paragraph on page 40. Quote, in the end, there does appear to be a tradition of appointing special attorney-like figures in moments of political scandal throughout the country's history. But very few, if any, of these figures actually resemble the position of Special Counsel Smith. Mr. Smith is a private citizen exercising the full power of a United States attorney and with very little oversight or supervision, end quote. Andy, that seems to be a critical line. Your reaction?
Yeah, it sure is. You know, there's a lot of talk about how there's been many appointments of independent prosecutors in our history, but this is very different in a constitutional sense, even though those cases are similar, which is why I think people have said, challenges like this have been dismissed before, as Jonathan noted a few minutes ago. Most of the special counsels who were appointed either pursuant to a statute, or it was a situation where somebody who was already a U.S. attorney was taken from his or her district and assigned to another case, which the Attorney General has unquestioned authority to do. This is a situation where you have a prosecution against not only a former president, but someone who was actually a major party candidate for president, who is brought by somebody who purports to be an officer of the United States, but is not filling a position that was created by Congress and was neither nominated by the president nor confirmed by the Senate. That is very different. We have had Dana pointed out Mueller, I think, before. Mueller's appointment was not challenged in those prosecutions. You can point to her, who just did the investigation of Biden. There was no point when he recommended against charges, there was no point in challenging his status because he never indicted a case. But I think if he had indicted his case, it's very likely his status would have been challenged. So this is a very unusual situation.
Jonathan, one of the things Eileen Cannon dealt with is that she is a judge who was appointed by Trump. And so that immediately brought just a ton of criticism her way, saying that she's unqualified, she's not the right person for it, it should have been taken away from her, and all of that all the ideas of judicial independence thrown out. As Laura Ingraham just said, she doesn't read this as a radical opinion in any way, and I can just assume that the vitriol coming this judge's way from the left will be strong, despite the calls for unity, but she really doesn't deserve that.
No, she doesn't. And the irony is perfectly crushing. These are the same people that criticized Donald Trump for attacking judges because of their who appointed them or their politics or their personal attributes. And, they insisted, this lacks respect for the courts. Well, they're now doing precisely that. They're accusing her of slow walking this case. If you take a look at reviews of Cannon from before this case, she was known as a judge that was extremely deliberative, that would hold hearings to allow argument on issues to get it right. She hasn't changed the way she operated for this case. Now, look, there are good arguments here. This is the outlier among the cases. It's, Jack Smith is not someone who goes quietly into that night when he faces adverse legal decisions. So the key here is that whatever happens, it's not going to happen before the election. I mean, basically, this is like telling one of the teams in the Super Bowl, we just found out you're not part of the NFL. I mean, so, this is a major issue that could affect other cases, including the one in D.C. I expect that the Court of Appeals would give it an expedited look if Jack Smith tried to push this forward. But the attacks on Judge Cannon are really reprehensible. She's clearly trying to get this right. You could disagree with her without saying that just because she was appointed by Trump, she's a robot. If you look at the decisions after the election, many of those decisions that went against President Trump were decisions written by Trump appointees. And so I'm glad you raised this, because these attacks really need to stop.
I agree.
Stand by, Professor, and Andy McCarthy back here with Kaylee McEnany and Trey Gowdy here. Just reading this again for 15 years now, okay? In 2001 to 2016, we had one special counsel, Patrick Fitzgerald. In the past 7 years, we've had 5. And I always think of our system as kind of a rubber band effect. Sometimes it gets stretched too far, and then it goes and it corrects itself.
But the American people, they should know we will follow them to the gates of hell until they are brought to justice. Because hell is where they will reside. Hell is where they will reside.
Check out TrumpRap.com. It's pretty calm for original rap songs that drop like a bomb. Featuring AI Trump as DJ T. Hard-hitting lyrics, that's the key. Pressing issues, we address them all. Politics and music, we stand tall. Through rap we speak. Critique so sleek, dynamic beats, unique and chic. Join the movement, feel the vibe. TrumpRap.com, where truth and rhythm collide.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.